Welcome to the first live edition of the Galaxy Report. I'm your host, Free Kasaka. Of course, I'm joined by Gyron this week. Gyron, how's it going?
Not too bad.
Oh, some big changes we have to look forward to that kind of got dropped on us this week are the NGE, the new Game Enhancements.
New Game Enhancements.
Oh, that's a fancy name they gave it. So joining us for this week's show, we have psychopyro. He's the Brawler correspondent. Psycho? Would you go psychopyro?
Yeah.
Any of them?
Any of them. I answer to just about any of it.
Okay, we'll go Pyro. It's nice and easy. He's the Brawler correspondent. He's joining us today. We also have guruweaver. He is the artisan. How exactly do you pronounce that? Artisan. He's the artisan correspondent. And we also have Darth Sushi. He's pretty much becoming a regular on our show. He's the squad leader correspondent. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Happy to be here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, so pretty much let's start off with when were you first contacted about this NGE?
I was... Hey, go ahead, Psycho.
Was it like the 24th, 25th, I think?
I got a call a week ago Thursday.
How about you, Guru?
I received an email, I think about Thursday of last week, inviting me out to some meeting at the Austin offices. They didn't tell us what for.
So do any of you guys know how they pick the certain correspondents to come out, or do they mention any of that with you guys?
Seemed random.
Yeah, if there was a method, they're keeping it a secret.
Okay. I guess let's jump right into the changes. We'll start off with Psycho. What do we have to look forward to? What's going on?
The changes are really exciting. The game itself will take a lot more skill. It's more Twitch space. The best thing I can put it to play experience for me is kind of a mix between PlanetSide and Resident Evil 4 as far as the way the controls work. It's very fast. When I was doing some combat, I took out 3 higher level mobs in about 10 seconds.
How about you, Darth? Oh, sorry.
It was definitely a lot faster, and it was a lot more fun.
Darth, what were your initial thoughts on the changes?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, from the intro tutorial, as soon as you log in, you're in it and you're playing, and it moves fast, and it's really slick. The new interface is awesome, and the pseudo first person shooter kind of perspective aspect to it is great, and the mouse targeting is awesome. It really plays slick.
Guru, you're the kind of crafter of the group. What were your initial thoughts on it?
Well, I'm not much of a combat player and never was, but in the spirit of things, I created a combat character right off the bat just to get into it, and found the combat to be much more engaging and more intuitive, I guess, to my play styles than the previous versions of combat I had played. The crafter game in the enhancements is essentially unchanged, allowing for the fact that they've grouped the professions together into 4 major subclasses. But my initial impressions were quite positive, although the changes in the way the game targets is really going to be a big switch for a lot of people. You shoot what your mouse is pointing at, not what you have targeted.
Really?
So you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. You play, you just can't keep mashing the button and expect it to die.
Okay. Go ahead.
Tab targeting's been removed. It's mouse targeting. So, and there's line of sight. So you'll hit whatever your mouse is pointed at, but you'll also hit anything that comes between you and what your mouse is pointed at. So I think it's going to make a lot of opportunity for a lot of tactical use of cover and terrain.
Can you hit your...
Also on... I was going to add... I was going to add the fact that the tab key is not useless. The tab key also still holds its use for scoping out your enemies before you go into it. You can still tab through prospective targets.
Can you hit friendlies?
At this time, you can't hit friendlies.
Okay.
How is melee being handled? Because that's been a big concern, because it's not really listed as a main out of the 9 iconic professions really come into the play of things.
Melee is still very much in the game. Jedi obviously would be, the Force sensitive path would be the main melee. Bounty hunters and commandos also have a strong melee in addition to their set professions. However, any profession can pick up a melee weapon and be proficient at it. It's just a couple of professions will be more proficient than others.
The way they ended up implementing it is there's a ranged attack skill and a melee attack skill. And every combat character has some of each, some more so than others. When you're wielding a melee weapon, you run up and smack them, and it's choosing your melee skill. When you're wielding a ranged weapon, you shoot them, and it's choosing your ranged skill. So it's not a ranged versus melee profession issue at all. It's really a combat profession with a balance of ranged and melee skills.
So yeah, now
yeah,
you want to.
I love the delay. It just adds to everything.
Yeah, so the deal is that there's no pistolier, rifleman, carbineer. There's no pikeman, the swordsman, fencer. If you want to use a pike, you pick up a pike and you use it. And if you're a character with strong melee skills, you'll be better at it than one that's not. But you're not class limited or profession limited, gated from weapon use, based on being a ranged character or a melee character. Everyone's both now, so you can run and gun and brawl and slice and shoot.
It gives you a lot more options as far as the player is concerned. If you want to be a bounty hunter with a power hammer, then have at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's much more friendly to switching on the fly as well if you want to.
What about other attributes, like before we had the dodge, the melee defense? Is there anything like that in the game?
Dodge and block are kind of more passive skills based on your standard abilities. They've got them listed a little bit differently, but it's basically your agility, dex, strength, things like that. And those, as they get higher, modify melee's ability to deflect and block incoming blows, as well as ranged being able to get out of the way of a shot or things like that.
Okay.
Do you know anything about how skill attachment tapes and armor attachments are going to convert over? Will they be changed to the new skills? Like, say, an old plus 15 dodge or maybe rifle accuracy tape, would that convert to something new in the system, or is that something you don't really know anything, how they're going to handle that?
Well, my understanding is that they will convert, but what they will convert to, we don't know yet.
The whole item conversion issue wasn't well discussed during our time with them. I imagine they're still ironing out some of the key issues in there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it seemed like, is that everything was still up in the air as to what exactly it would convert to, but they said that it would convert to something similar in the system.
What about the weapons? Did you get a chance to look at any and play with them and kind of see maybe how they converted compared to weapons that you already had in-game?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we'll start with Darth.
Okay. When we were sat down and to first start the play test, we started with the newbie tutorial and then ground it out through the newbie quest missions. And so I saw a C-Def and a Scout Blaster and I'm not sure what else. So low-level weapons, but low-level weapons you're able to just kick ass with, as opposed to there's no running outside the Coronet starport and getting eaten by a Derny on the first your first outing.
That brings back some bad memories.
Yeah. But so we didn't see anything in regard to what a typical player in the game was going to convert to in the new paradigm. What I saw anyway. I saw level 1 through 3 starter guns, and then I saw some of the level 90 stuff in one of the higher level demos.
One thing to keep in mind is that weapons have been simplified as well. There's just 2 main stats, damage and speed.
Yeah.
And the third elemental, which comes into play in some weapons.
Right. And there may well be skill mods on weapons as well.
You didn't see any?
I had actually one of the weapons that I picked up. I did some of the force grind, and one of the quests I took, you had optional things to pick up, and one of the weapons I picked up had a agility mod attached to it. Also picked up a bunch of rings and things like that had different mods attached to it that were in that kind of similar setup.
What about loot in the game? What did you guys notice? Anything? Is there a change, or are you still getting the same crap off of? If you kill a meat lump, you'll get maybe a shirt that you'll never use.
No, there's all kinds of new stuff. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna throw this one to Guru.
I looted a backpack with a strength modifier on it, for instance.
Really? Huh.
Also, creature resources, which were formerly harvested by scouts and scout classes, are now loot drops off of creature mobs. So when you kill a creature mob, you have a reasonable chance of getting a meat or a hide or a bone off of them as well.
Nice.
Are they in decent amounts?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of new loot. I'm sorry?
The drops off of the creatures, are they in decent amounts, or are they the 1 or 2 units like we've seen?
I was seeing stacks around 10 to 15, but these were low-level creatures as well.
Right.
I'm just reading through my notes just to make sure I get everything covered. What about space combat? Have they changed that at all?
No.
Okay, that's staying the same.
Not at all. Space is still the way it is.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, one thing that's interesting to me is that there is active space content right from the get-go. One of the first things you do is you end up manning one of the turrets in the Millennium Falcon, keeping ties off of the ship while Han fixes the hyperdrive.
Really?
Yeah, that's in the tutorial.
Okay. And there's voiceovers now too, I hear.
Yes.
Now, will that be for all the quests, or just the intro tutorial? Do you know?
The way I understood it, there were plans to put these voiceovers in future areas as well, but I believe right now it was just the beginner quests that were voiceovered.
Okay, where do we want to go? Do we want to go to Jedi or crafting first? Anybody have a preference? We'll get through the crafting. We'll make the Jedis wait. We'll go to Guru on this one. Someone was wondering about the trader iconic profession, and if I'm not mistaken, you played a lot of the trader in testing.
Yeah, I think I may have been the only one in the groups that did that.
No, I had a couple.
How does that work? Taking the armor smith, the weaponsmith profession the way they are now, how does that work into the new trader profession?
When you choose to create a trader, you're given a choice of 4 specializations: munitions, domestics, structures, or engineering. As far as I could tell, each one of those subgroups or specializations off of trader encompassed 1 or 2 elite crafting professions. For instance, munitions was weaponsmith and armorsmith. Domestics was a chef and tailor, etc. And when you chose one, you began as an artisan. You didn't see the regular skill onion that we're used to seeing. You just simply saw the gas gauge style leveling meter that's now in the new UI. The newbie quests were a number of crafting items where they would ask you to make various different items like clothing or food or equipment, and you would level according to the experience that you got for doing your quests. As you leveled, you gained levels in Artisan, picking up special skills and so forth that were part of Artisan. As you went further along, you would then start to pick up the schematics and abilities that were part of the elite crafting professions that were members of the specialization you chose. The best I could tell, Merchant and Artisan were a part of all four of them. So once you completed any one of the four specializations, you were also a fully fledged Merchant and Artisan as well. But once you got into actually crafting, the crafting game has then changed. The crafting interface, schematics, the resource utilization, all of that is the same.
And droid engineers in there, everything's pretty much in there?
Yeah, droid engineers are in the engineering branch for Shipwreck.
Okay. And what about with vendors, with all the respecing you're going to be able to do, if you have vendors and you respec to a different profession, will you lose anything? Will you lose the vendors and what's on them?
We didn't go over respec in any significant detail. I think there's a lot of outstanding issues there. But it would be my assumption that if you spec'd into a iconic profession that wasn't trader, you would lose the ability to access your vendors, much like you do in the current live game when you drop merchant skills.
Gyron, do you want to go? Oh, go ahead.
I just had a comment on that. There was a post on the boards sometime in the last day or two, and I don't remember whether it was from Tiggs or one of the other devs, but that there was discussion that during to accommodate that issue during the respec period with the 10 respecs that everyone's going to get, that any character can have a vendor. I don't know what kind of limitations are going to put on that make it so, any character can't have as many vendors as a master merchant can. But they did say that any character could have a vendor.
I'm talking to the people in chat right now. Gyron, ask your question about crafting. I know you want to.
Will factory created armor and clothing still retain the same basic color that it defaults to, like it does now, or is that working now?
I would hope so. We haven't had a chance to see a converted Galaxy server yet under the new system. Item conversion wasn't well talked about during our visit.
Oh, my notes. Keep losing them.
Now that this might be a little off topic from crafting, but now that creature handling is out, what do you know the fate of like pets in the datapad, or what's going to happen with that at all?
Pets will remain in their datapad. Anything over level 10 will be unable to be called. Only, as far as I know, only mounts will be able to function that are level 10 or under.
So the rest of them will just be decorations for you?
Decorations for your datapad. And will there be... How are creature mounts being handled now? Does this go to another, like a trader class? Will they have, like, maybe well, not so much bioengineered, but engineered pets of some sort, or something that you can use as mounts, or will only pre-existing mounts still exist, I guess?
The way I understood it, it was only going to stay with the pre-existing mounts. I didn't hear any talk of changing outside of that. I don't know if the others did or not.
I heard hints that we may see some positive movement in that area after this initial conversion's done. But there wasn't any concrete information given on creature crafting or creature mounts moving forward.
Yeah, one of the things that they covered is that with the profession consolidation, that they're moving away from a 100% player-driven economy, and so it's entirely possible that obtaining creature mounts is going to be something that's relegated to an NPC sector of the economy. But that wasn't confirmed. It was just it was outlined as a possibility.
Let's move on to the wonderful Jedi profession. And I'm not a Jedi. I don't know much about them, but Gyron's the big man on campus here. So what's going on with how are Jedi's going to convert from the current system to this new system? Do you know anything, Psycho?
The best is what I heard is if you're a level 80 Jedi, as long as you have one box in the Jedi, as long as you've gotten one box in any branch of the Jedi professions now, you will be granted the Elder title with the lightsaber, the robe, and some of the other stuff that they had announced would go with it. I don't have the list in front of me. And you would be, a full level 80 Jedi, and then, you still have your 10 levels past that, but you'd be, well ahead of the curve of any Jedi. The lightsaber does more damage than any other lightsaber that any new person coming into the game and playing Jedi that didn't have a Jedi will ever be able to get. They tried to make sure that the rewards that they gave the people for grinding out Jedi were definitely going to be something that no one else was ever going to get, and it made them that much more powerful, and not overpowering, but more powerful than Jedi's coming into the game that didn't have it.
Is Force healing still going to be around?
Is what?
Force healing? Is that still going to be a feature in the game?
I didn't get a chance to go through all of the trees in the Force sensitive progression. They haven't laid it all out yet, and I don't recall seeing it, but we had so much to go through in such a short amount of time, I may have missed it. As far as, and then the biggest question everybody asks, do you start as a Jedi? And the answer to that is actually no. You have to actually go through the first branch before you can get a lightsaber. So most of the Jedi powers were up towards getting into the third and fourth tier of the Force sensitive progression.
What creature level would you be when you start getting into that?
What level? Let's see. I didn't make it quite all the way into the second one. I want to say I was close to 7 or 8, and I was right there almost getting Force run, looking at the meter, but I don't know how far from that actually was as far as experience quests or anything like that.
Is there going to be a light and a dark side, or is it just one Jedi profession?
I didn't get much into that with them. The way I understood what little I did talk to them about it is there would still be able to be dark Jedi and your dark Jedi, your light Jedi, and neutral, just depending on what your faction alignment was.
Did anybody else get a chance to play with the Jedi, light, dark sides?
I didn't.
What about the blue glowy? How does that work?
It's just a robe that you get to equip. It has a toggle on it, an on and off toggle that it grants you special defenses, and you can walk around as a blue glowy.
Okay, Gyron, go for it. What do you want to know?
Actually, this isn't necessarily Jedi related, but on the website, when they announced the NGE and whatnot, they listed like about 3 specials per class. Now, is there more than like 3 specials per iconic?
Way more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, there's
examples.
Yeah, there's
That's
a
been
ton
big
more.
concern.
Well, how do you choose
We saw
between
all
them
kinds of special.
in the current situation where you're supposed to right click to attack and left click is special? How does that work?
You have a toolbar where you can put your specials on your toolbar, and when you select the toolbar number that you wish, it puts the special in the hot button, which is bound to your right mouse. So you click right mouse, fire a special, hit your toolbar to change your special, hit right mouse to fire the different special, etc.
Okay. Anything
Impact worked the same way.
Anything Jedi related, Gyron?
No, actually, I think, and Jedi still get to keep their alts on the same server, right?
That is
true
correct.
too.
No,
Of course, yeah. The major change for Jedi is that bounty hunters can't hunt them anymore.
They gotta like that.
I'm guessing.
Well,
Actually, there was some complaints about that. Both sides.
Is that something that's in stone, or did they give any hint that, well, maybe we can take a look at that at a later date?
The Jedi hunting?
Yeah, the bounty hunting, the Jedi
Well,
hunting.
just regular PC hunting, I would think. Anybody.
Yeah, well,
hunting.
because we also said, when they said that bounty hunters aren't going to be hunting Jedi anymore, the natural next question was, so I guess they're not going to be hunting smugglers either. And I guess right now that there's just there's a community issue with the having one class of character, designed to hunt and kill another class of character, and it just creates too much grief and contention in the community. So they're taking it out for now, and they might revisit it. They didn't say it would never come back, but they didn't say that they were taking a wait-and-see approach either. So it's out for now, and that's how it'll be, I guess.
Grog on the website wanted to know, is the lightsaber combat anything like that of Jedi Academy? Has anybody played that?
It's different than Jedi Academy. It's it's still based on kind of the first-person shooter type thing. You have to have the targeting on it, and you have to have the targeting reticle on it when you're attacking. You can still do this from any first, third, over-the-shoulder mode. It's not really, basically if you hold down the mouse button, you'll keep attacking, or you can keep pressing the button to, attack different ways, but it doesn't really seem like Jedi Academy.
Are there any issues with collision detection, with melee, lag? Did you guys run into any problems?
Well, one of the
collision. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that they've done with now everybody being able to, fast switch between armed, unarmed, and armed melee combat, is that they reduced the melee attack range, so you actually have to be right up on someone in order to hand-to-hand attack them. I didn't experience any issues with warping mobs or anything like that, if that's what you were getting at.
What about like a crate dragon? Because I remember there originally, Gyron, you had that problem when you were TKA.
Yeah, with TKA, it seemed like the hitbox was the mob's head, and when it kind of reared up, it was out of range. It was out of that 5 meter, but that was fixed.
Okay. For hitboxes, you really got to think outside of this. Hitboxes don't exist in this. Everything, I talked to some of the designers one-on-one about this, and it was, everything is based on the polygon on your opponent. It's not a hitbox. If you hit a polygon that's on the opponent, you will hit the opponent.
It's still okay. That's
kind
cool.
of impressive.
Some of the things that I really picked up on, if you have a blaster and you aim it at somebody's foot and you pull the trigger and you're shooting at the foot, the blaster bolt goes for the foot.
Do we have anything else on Jedi? Or
it's an innovative system.
Were you surprised at how different it was when you first saw it? Are people going to be shocked, like the first thing when they start playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's different.
It's a whole new game. As far as the interface and gameplay are concerned, it's a whole new game.
Is there any chance that if people don't like this, that it will be reverted?
I can't imagine that being possible.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, how many people have been asking for a pre-combat upgrade server? I mean, did that ever happen?
Yeah, right.
No. I mean,
the way I understood it, yeah, the answer was a no on that. It won't be. I mean, this is the direction they're planning on going because they have these plans in future for the game that they want to implement.
Did they mention how long they've been working on this?
I don't know if that was explicitly discussed, but it's obvious that they've been at it for a while.
I heard that this was going on a good 3 or 4 months before the combat upgrade ever went into play, so I'm guessing at least a year.
Really?
Wow.
Makes you wonder why they pushed the combat upgrade then.
It seemed more like a Band-Aid fix.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the combat upgrade was a Band-Aid on a broken system, and I guess that was a interim fix while they got this fine-tuned for Go Live.
People are wondering, what's the XP like trying to get it in the game? Some people are complaining that it kind of reminds them of the XP nerf from a couple months ago. I believe it was published 23. Guru, do you have any thoughts on that?
What was the question again? I apologize.
On XP, a lot of people are kind of mentioning that it kind of reminds them of the XP nerf from a couple months back. What is it like trying to get XP in the game, in the new system?
I didn't have any trouble at all. In doing the trader work, I had already leveled quite a bit before I finished the newbie zone.
Really?
And was getting levels fairly briskly thereafter. I found that the leveling was quite good, actually.
Darth, how about you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, you can't leave the newbie zone until you're level 5, I think. I don't think you're allowed to travel to any of the existing planets until you're level 5. So, and that goes pretty quickly. In fact, it's this whole thing where you have to go out and bash rabbits until you accumulate XP, and then go and visit a trainer and cash in your XP and then pay credits for training. That's completely gone. You're just out there doing quests, and as you shoot stuff and bash stuff, you just automatically level up. And so, you know, that whole segue of training has just been removed. So it's seamless. When you're out there in the field and you go over a level threshold, and it's just there's a little blue flash on your character, and you get, if you do a new special, you get a new special. That's it's pretty seamless.
Psycho. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't feel like I was grinding XP. I was so fixated on what was going on the screen, with the gameplay and actually using the new interface. I wasn't even watching the XP bar tick up. It was sort of like it didn't matter. It was just happening.
What was the highest level you got to?
I don't think I got higher than level 5 or 6, but I played a couple of different classes.
I managed to get one of mine up to 7 before I had to get off.
And how long did it take you to get to 7?
Probably no more than about 2 hours.
Okay. I'm afraid I played WoW for a little while, and at first it seemed like that with WoW. You're going through, you're doing these quests, you're leveling up, and you kind of get to a point where the quests kind of die down, you kind of get stuck, and Gyron was able to make it to 60. I don't know how he did it. I lost my patience long before that, but I'm just worried that maybe as you get into a higher level, it might become harder and harder to level up.
Almost certainly the case that it's going to be harder to level as you get higher up.
Right.
But we weren't able to play the game long enough to really get a good feel for what the curve's like.
Yeah. I'm not... I guess make it harder to level up was the wrong phrasing. I meant more of a grind where you're like, just trying to get to the next level, trying to get that XP needed to get to the next level. But they said there's 3 different types of XP. We pretty much know the combat, we know the crafting. Guru, what's the social XP like? Is that the one that they talked about?
I didn't experience the social XP. I would presume that was under the entertainer heading, which I know that NJ12 did a lot of that. She's the image designer correspondent. I did notice that I was getting quite a bit of XP from just completing quests, not actually having to craft or kill mobs or what have you. But a lot of my leveling came from just doing the quests, which I thought was a nice change of pace.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Is that you don't get pistol XP for using your pistol. You get bounty hunter XP for being a bounty hunter. So it's not weapon specific anymore. So that's how they can make it quest based.
Have any of you tried any PvP in the new system?
I did actually do that, believe it or not. One of the old Galactic Civil War correspondents, Jester, was there as well, and he and I dueled several times with I believe he was playing a commando, and I was playing a smuggler. As much of my surprise as anyone else, I won.
3 times.
3 times.
3 times.
Are they keeping the same Special Forces combatant on leave system?
Weren't able to get to testing faction.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't explicitly discussed, but I understand from some of the questions, some of the answers they've been posting on the forums, is that stays intact for now.
Okay, XP that is currently banked. Do you know how that's going to transfer over?
No.
Okay. That was a nice, easy question.
Yeah.
I just want to take
Although I would say that if you have XP banked, you might want to cash it in and get your level up, so when the conversion happens, you convert at a higher level. Maybe. I don't know. That's a wild-ass guess on my part.
I just want to take a moment to remind everybody that what we're using right now is Skype, and there tends to be some lag issues sometimes when we're talking. So awkward pauses, talking over each other, it's not intentional. It just kind of happens as we go along. You think someone's going to finish something and it doesn't come along, and you're kind of waiting to give them a chance. But just kind of stick with us, and we're going to keep going. If I don't break my keyboard, I don't know what the hell I just did. Gyron, go ahead and take something while I figure out what I'm
well, how about
doing.
What would you say the end game content is now? I mean, obviously, once you hit level 90, will you waiting parties to hit like a big boss mob, or will it be PvP? Where do you see that heading?
Well, what they told us is that the intended end game is going to be the Galactic Civil War.
But
for both PvE and PvP, is that that's the point of the game is the Galactic Civil War.
So hopefully they're planning a big revamp for that then.
Well, this is a pretty impressive first step.
You guys all seem pretty up on it too. Trying to look through to see what different people have to ask. I guess I'll get to play some of the people in the chat room's questions in a moment. ADKs, there's kind of an uproar on that. Guru, do you know anything on the status of ADKs, what they plan on doing with them?
It fell under that whole heading of item transfer, which didn't get discussed very well. It was asked, but we didn't have a good answer.
They were just kind of like, come back later.
Come back.
Come back in a few
13
weeks.
mil. Sell your ADK to some sucker for 13 mil.
How many ADKs do you have, Gyron?
I've only got 2 because I've been selling them. I've actually sold them. Well, this is before. I decided I needed 1 for my lightsaber pros and 1 for my Riz chess piece. And the rest.
Have they added jump into the game?
Yeah,
No,
3D jump.
We talked about that. Because they've gone with a pseudo FPS kind of interface, and so we said, well, if it's going to look like an FPS, you got to put in the Z-axis and let us jump and crouch and all that other good stuff now.
They said no.
Well, they didn't say no. They were kind of coy about it, but I wouldn't expect it anytime soon.
Can you still go prone and kneel and whatnot?
Yes.
And does that improve accuracy or anything like that, like it used to, or?
I asked that, and I don't know that it actually, if going prone actually improves your accuracy, but what it does is it reduces your profile and makes you a smaller target to shoot at from the right perspective. So
that plays
technically.
Your client worked for Neil?
Oh, I didn't kneel. Actually,
No,
I didn't even prone either.
We tried Neil. We tried prone. We couldn't do it.
Really?
They said that they had taken it out. It was something we asked to be put back in. Don't know if it actually will or not.
I think they must have been working on that because I was talking with whichever one of the guys was over my shoulder with the clipboard about that, and he said that prone and kneel would, well, not kneel, but he said that prone would definitely be in, and that it would reduce your target profile.
So I was just broken. Yay!
Yeah, probably. Well, there was a lot that wasn't working.
What about collision detections with trees? Are you able to hide behind a tree now if somebody's shooting at you?
You can still hide behind them.
Okay.
I mean that went into it in the tutorial. You know, right at the beginning where Han Solo says, "Get behind the crates." You know, it definitely, there's still collision detection with trees and things like that.
Okay. It doesn't seem so bad now, but I just remember back to shooting through hills at different characters, like early on in the game.
That was so, yeah. Good times.
Did anybody play any medic?
There were some issues with medic, so we didn't make it very far.
Are buffs still in the game, or are they removed?
Everything I found was a chemical buff, like the enhanced view cone stem packs and things like that. Like I said, some things with medic we were having issues with, so I didn't get to work up any of the medic to check it out.
Oh, someone wants to know if the slash commands have been removed.
No. Oh, but go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the only thing that went away was the target macro command and the UI action toolbar slots will automatically throw that into your right mouse button now instead of recursive on that.
Okay. I'm just deleting some of my old questions right now so I don't ask you the same thing. Okay.
Did you see anything new as far as armor and weapons were concerned?
I don't know if I saw any new armor because I didn't get high enough to get started to wear it, but I don't remember if I saw any actual new weapon art or not. I saw an awful lot of new clothes.
That's cool. That's been a long time. Since what? The Ithorian clothes from Jump to Lightspeed, really?
Yeah, exactly. I can only assume that there's probably some new art to look forward to.
Well, Darth, while we're talking to you, the whole squad leader revamp that you guys just got, how does that transfer over to the new system?
Well, I can't say it one-to-one, but it looks a lot alike. Plus some more. Remember when I talked to you guys last week and I said that we got almost everything we asked for in the revamp? The officer profession gives us all the stuff that was just pure pipe dream at the higher levels. So it seems to me that officer is pretty much a squad leader class. I didn't really get into the skill progression chart to find out how exactly that all maps out. I was too busy with my little newbie grind, having fun playing that. Which I don't know. I was so entranced by by the interface and playing the game that I didn't go digging around in it to find some of that stuff out. But it looks to me like we get primarily a ranged profession. We get the some kind of sniper bonus, which I guess is their way of accounting for stuff like called shot, volley fire, and paint target. Although I haven't seen that confirmed yet. Called shot's a special that you get early on, I think, like level 2. and then or 3 maybe, and the high level stuff. Oh, and then there's the group buffs. It says that the squad leader the officer profession is the group buff profession. I didn't actually see what any of those group buffs were, or wasn't at a high enough level to test any of those out. But at the higher levels, the kinds of things that I saw Jeff Freeman demoing for us when he was up around, I think he was was playing a level 90 character, but he was calling in artillery, orbital bombardment, and TIE bomber airstrikes.
Sweet.
He spawned himself a level 90 Rancor and then took it out with a trio of TIE bombers. That was sweet.
Badger Smacker, he's the Pistolier correspondent for those of you that don't know. He was posting on our forums. And Darth, he wanted to know what the first thing that you're going to call an orbital bombardment on is going to be.
The Emperor? I don't know. Actually, I was on the squad leader forum, and I was saying, well, what I really want to try is pulling out a survival knife, charging a target, and then calling in an airstrike on my own position. So.
That's called scratching your back.
Okay, Pyro, we have a question in the chat. I don't know if you'll know anything about this, but we'll go ahead and ask. Do you know why we're not going to be able to change professions?
That was discussed at Sunlink.
Yeah. It's kind of, there wasn't really, to me anyways, when I asked, a straight answer on it, except that they wanted to avoid the flavor of the month, do this one, like it has been since the beginning, where it was, TK spamming unarmed 3 all the time after, buffs, and they just wanted to get away from that whole flavor of the month thing. So I think that had a lot to do with why they changed it.
Yeah, but you would think that with the current system, since you can't cross train, like you can't go up in like officer and bounty hunter, just dabbling back and forth, that a person would have to completely drop all their skills, go back to a creature level 1, and then learn up a new profession, that they wouldn't have such a problem with it, because from the sounds of it, by the time they get back up to a creature level 80, it's going to be something, there's going to be a new flavor of the month, and people would have figured out a way to take out what they were originally trying to do in the first place.
Well, yeah, but you get there's this inventory item that you get that you can cash in for 10 full respecs. So, and you switch when you cash in a respec chit, you transfer at whatever level you're at. So if you're a level 80 bounty hunter and you want to go be a smuggler for a while, you cash in a respec chit and you become a level 80 smuggler. You don't drop all the way back down to level 1 and start again with a newbie tutorial for smuggler.
Right. I was just thinking,
but once those 10 are gone, then yeah, if you want to switch, I guess you got to drop everything.
Well, you got to delete, actually.
You have to delete your actual.
That was a point of contention too. So.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. People would, even if they had to delete all their skills, go back to 1 and rework their way up. I mean, no matter how good your profession is, eventually you're going to get to a point where I don't want to. You may get to a point I don't want to do this anymore.
That's when you buy another account.
They got us, don't they? Okay. Gyron, what's on your mind?
Well, wanting to download Test Center faster to check this out. But
kick everybody off.
But could you? That'd be a real treat for me. But I mean, you guys had fun, and you. How long have you guys been playing the game? Are you like day 1 vets?
Day 1.
And well, maybe day 2, because day 1 was hard to frickin' log into the creation.
Well, yeah, that 24 hours of downtime at day 1 was a blast.
But I mean, and it's fun. That's what you're saying, right?
I just want to blast.
That's what I
it was
wanted to
great.
hear. You're telling me things I want to hear.
And it looks like there's replayability in it. It's not like where you can get like Unreal Tournament and have a blast for like a day with it, but then you just get tired of the running gun and jumping off of walls. There's something to the game now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to start directing questions to people that way. We get rid of that pause. Who hasn't answered one in a while? Who's very quiet?
Guru.
Guru.
Guru, the force bar, is it still there?
Didn't see it.
Okay.
I played it. I didn't make it up to actually being Jedi, but I didn't see it.
Okay. Anybody make it to Jedi to know if there's still a force bar?
I didn't see it. I mean, I didn't even check.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it fits in the interface, so I'm guessing it's gone. It didn't look like there was a place where they could squeeze it in there like there is now.
I read something also on the forums saying that there might be awkward pauses in combat, but that's when the characters are reloading. So, are weapons like if you're a trader and you go up like the munitions, would you actually make like recharge packs for your like blaster pistols or something? Is that I don't know.
I don't think it's a consumable. This actually came up in our focus group after testing because we weren't sure what was happening. We just all we knew was that every now and again we'd stop during fighting and just do this weird looking thing, and evidently it was a reload animation that I guess is currently bugged, but they're working the kinks out of that. The deal is if you hold down your left mouse key, that's the equivalent of auto fire or auto attack. So you can fire, one shot per click, or you can just hold it down and open up on someone. And after every N number of shots, your character will take a pause and then automatically reload. I don't believe that that's an actual craftable consumable like an actual, ammo magazine. But it puts a tactical break in the action.
I thought that sounded really cool.
Yeah, well, so one of the things that we asked was that if there was a way that we could actually get a counter for that, or some kind of visual display, so we could know where we were at, and then just do a, like if you're in Virtua Cop, you have to, aim off screen and pull the trigger to reload, something like that. So
I know that only too well.
If you can automatically reload, if you're going into combat, you want to know whether or not whether you've got a full clip or 3 shots left. Or whatever.
Did I fire 5 or 6?
Exactly. So but that was a cool little addition.
Do you still have your regular health action mind?
Yes. And health is the only one that's targetable, so it appears. And then action and mind work the same way they do now, and that they govern your specials and your recovery.
Okay, there's a lot of questions coming through about the when you level up and if you want to change characters, you have to delete your character. I'll throw this one to Pyro. Do you know if, say, like you're level 80 and you want to change your characters and you delete your guide, you lose all your credits, your armor, loot, houses, everything?
This actually came up in the group that we had, and it was something that we wanted. It was pretty much delete, but they didn't have any answers to what would happen to your stuff if you did. My guess is that they didn't want to say you'll lose it, or they didn't want to say we haven't worked it out yet, or whatever it was. I didn't get a straight answer.
Did anybody?
On the issue.
Because it seems like each of you had maybe, you talk to different people, and one would be a little bit more open with one, in one area. So nobody heard anything about that in the deletion?
Well, we gave them a lot of feedback about how essentially having to delete your tune and recreate it just to try out a new profession was unacceptable. And there was a lot of scribbling on notepads. It's my belief that that they got that message and will be addressing that issue. But I didn't hear any promises or concrete plans to do that.
Yeah,
but they did hear that feedback.
It'd be nice if you could still keep your name, your houses, maybe tie that stuff to the account, and then you just create a character and you can delete the character or whatever, but you won't lose all that stuff.
Effectively surrendering your profession like you do skills today.
Right. That wouldn't be so bad. The 9 respecs that we get, those are unlimited, correct?
There's an unlimited time to use them. They don't expire. And I think that was kind of a thing that maybe they planned that maybe this was an issue and it just a thing to buy them more time kind of thing. Because they told me when I asked them about the respec and the time period not having it, they figured somebody would use it once or twice, stick it in their bank, and leave it there.
So it's an actual token that you can take in and out of your inventory and not a window that pops up when you cross any server boundary. Okay.
Yeah.
It's an actual item.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass from the last respec.
I still have that window popping up.
Did anybody play TKA?
Well, there isn't TKA anymore, as far as I can tell. I guess if you're playing a smuggler or a commando and you get high enough up, you probably get a lot better at unarmed fighting. But I don't think that the actual TKA form exists anymore in the game. I'm not sure about that though.
I started the force-sensitive character. The first thing they give you is on your first quest. Once you get into your newbie quest, the first thing they gave you is a force-sensitive knuckler. So essentially, an unarmed weapon to start off on force-sensitive.
Is there still like initiate armor in the game? Did anybody see that?
Oh, like the innate with
Yeah, innate, whatever.
Force sensitive is an innate armor.
Okay. God, it's getting late. I'm totally botching my words up even more than usual. We'll throw this one to Pyro. Do they still require specific professions to use specific armor?
Yes.
Easy ones, I like that.
There's some debate because, in the beginning, it shows that the spy is in recon armor, and the commandos in clone armor. Yet neither one of those are certed for that particular type of armor. So we're still arguing about the sense of how they put the system together.
Well, I'm talking to you, Pyro. Badger Smacker had a question directed towards you. He wanted to know if you ate steak while you were at SOE or something else.
If what?
If you ate steak while you were with the guys at SOE or if you had something else.
I had steak.
They fed you well?
I don't know what everybody else ate. I had steak.
I had
steak too.
That's where our $15 a month is going to.
And it was tasty too, thank you.
Yes, it was very good.
You didn't have to slather it in steak sauce to make it edible?
Oh, no steak sauce was needed. Nice and juicy.
Blasphemy.
Darth, do you know anything about the armor stats and how they are on the new system?
No, I know that that the weapons have been simplified so that they only do, they only have a speed and a damage now. I don't know if there's any corresponding simplification or adjustment to armor at all. I didn't get certed high enough to actually equip any, so I didn't see any in the game, and I don't think it came up.
Guru, do you know if the armor that we have in the game now, if it's going to be good when they switch over?
What they told us is that if the weapon or armor you have right now is of top quality, it will continue to be so after conversion.
Okay. Is it going to be...
Didn't witness any of it.
Do you know if it's going to be like after the combat upgrade where if you were wearing armor and you logged in and you had respec, you could like change it to a different type?
They did not say if they were going to do that or not.
Okay. Just have to wait and see. I can't believe I got through all my questions. Gyron, you have to have something. Everybody's been all geared up wanting to hear what Gyron has to say. They figure he's going to come in here and be angry and start yelling. So
I can't say anything about it until I play it. And my main concern was that I've been playing this game since start, and I just want it to be fun, and that's what I wanted to hear, and that's what you guys said. So, to spite everybody, I'm going to say, I think this might be good. I think this might be just what it needed. But,
I would echo that sentiment. I really feel like this is a lot more engaging of a combat play than I've seen in this game before. And that's saying something considering I'm not really a combat guy.
And I think the main thing is that people really need to calm down, just get into Test Center and test it out, play it. I mean, everybody's been throwing fits on the forums. The forums have been down half the time, and nobody's actually played the system. And I understand that people are a bit bent that it came out the day after we were all billed for the Trials of Obi-Wan, but...
Yeah, that didn't even occur to me when I was in town on that Tuesday that it was released. But I understand that. But I'll tell you, there's nobody that was in there was a group of I guess about 15 of us, correspondents, former correspondents, some of the TIGS trackers were there, and some folks from the online gaming media. Nobody kicked over their chair, said, "OMFG, devs, you suck," and stormed out threatening to cancel their accounts and file a lawsuit. I mean, in fact, some of the folks that were there that hadn't played in over a year were talking about going home and reactivating their accounts. So, it really looks good, and it plays well too.
Pyro, how is the action used now? Is it by the ability or is it by the weapon? Do you know anything about that?
The action cost.
Yeah.
Actually, action costs for your normal attacks, you won't have any anymore. Your normal hit them with a weapon will cost you no action. The only thing that costs you action is your specials. As far as animations and things like that are concerned, it's dependent upon your weapon use and your special use.
Okay. One question, I'll throw this one to Guru because he played the trader. The traders, from what I understand, are not attacked by creatures. Is that right?
That is correct. You don't draw aggro from normally aggro mobs. It's very eerie, actually, to walk into a room full of aggro mobs and have them just ignore you.
What stops a
refreshing, actually.
What stops a trader from going into, say, the Deathwatch bunker and just walking down and maybe looting something out of a crate?
Or making
it was my understanding.
Can you
it was my understanding that they were...
Go ahead,
What
Guru.
they said when I asked them that was that certain content, such as dungeons and things like that, were going to have barriers to entry for non-aggro characters, so that you couldn't just solo, like the Corvette, to go get your AB-21 power plants or something like that. As to what form that would take and what areas would be curtailed access, that wasn't made clear to me.
Okay. Does anybody know of, if you have a crafter fighter out there, let's see.
Current system?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to read and it keeps scrolling up on me, the chat. Okay, they're asking if there's a lot of crafter fighters out there that don't have combat level 80. How are they going to fare in the switchover? Is it basically just going to be if you're like level 76, you're going to switch over to 76, or is that the idea behind it?
What we're hearing so far, and the details aren't fully out on the way the respec's going to work, is that if you are combat level 50 in the live game, you'll be able to respec over to level 50 in a combat profession. As to how that's going to play out in terms of specking over to the trader, that hasn't been made clear to me.
See, I'm also hearing that it's based on skill points, so that if you spent all 250 in the current game, you'll convert over as a member of the class that would have spent 250 in the new game, I guess. So and I don't know how they're going to reconcile that exactly. I'm not sure they do either, but I'm sure they're working on it. But I haven't seen a clear answer to any of that yet.
Yeah, we got differing answers from differing people while we were there. As far as like me and NJ, we got differing answers from different people. So it doesn't seem like anybody's 100% sure exactly how this works.
Which implies to me that they don't know how they want it to work just yet.
Darth,
but that's just speculation.
Darth, have they mentioned anything on feedback from Test Center when we get in there, when we start testing? Are there certain items that pretty much are set in stone that they're not going to change, or is everything kind of pretty much up in the air and they're going to work off of people's feedback? Have they said anything about that?
I have no idea. They were scribbling furiously in their notebooks and on their clipboards when they were taking the feedback from us. And they've been playing it themselves internally for quite some time, I guess. So, I guess that, and I guess it would depend on what. It would depend on, what they're hearing. If the feedback is, OMFG, devs, you suck, to give us a pre-CU server, well, then the answer to that's no. They're not going to do that. But if it's like, this particular thing here is kind of screwy, whatever, here's how it could be better, not in all caps, or something like that. If it's, reasonable and well thought out.
I would imagine that they're open to modifications and tweaks, but in its core essence, I don't think they're going to change the way the new system works. In other words, we're not going to see a revert back to the existing live game. Okay. They're pretty set that this is the way they need to go.
I guess one of the main things, and I've kind of preached it on our forums, is that when everyone's in Test Center, to give intelligent feedback to the developers. Keep it, if a gun doesn't fire right, then you tell them it doesn't fire right, but don't just say that gun looks gay, because that's not going to get anything accomplished. It's just going to make you mad when you get into the game and the gun still doesn't fire right.
I would say the biggest thing to people is when you put this stuff down, be as specific as possible, and when you're writing out suggestions as to how something works and how it could be changed, be respectful in how you write it, because they will ignore the posts that are, oh my F and G, whatever, this needs to change. They'll ignore stuff like that.
Does anybody know if there's a speed and damage cap on weapons?
I don't know, but combat right now, I mean, in the tutorial that we saw, it set it to be at about a pace that's approximately 4 times faster than how things move right now. So it might not be a legitimate comparison asking if there's a speed cap, because speed cap is based on a perspective of the current game, and it's a whole new game. So I mean, the combat is very fast, and weapons fire is very rapid. So I don't know if the speed cap's even an appropriate consideration.
Okay. Guru, we'll throw this one to you. Is there any idea, did they give you any info on some of the vet rewards, and if they plan on changing some of them since they won't work in the new form of the game?
I would presume so, but there was no information given on that.
I guess the big question is, what new holograms are we going to get out of this?
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
That jellyfish hollow has to be the most worthless thing I've ever seen.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
What's the point?
They're the Trandoshans' favorite food. And it's a hologram of it. Like, I have that pizza hologram sitting in my room. It makes perfect sense.
No.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. I apologize.
You know, almost it's a minor hologram.
That minor hologram rocks.
Yeah. Actually, it is pretty cool. That should be a player race right there. What about vehicles? Are there any changes? Can you shoot out off of your speeder now or anything?
No, there's no vehicular combat was not added to the game at this stage. Although it did come up, and I did see some knowing smirks on a few devs' faces, so they may have something up their sleeve.
That would be cool.
Honestly, I think they do because, you know, me and Eric were downstairs. We were talking. Me and Eric from F13.net. We were downstairs talking to some of the designers, and they said, you know, this is something they want to try and be able to go back to. There's no positive we will, but it's something they definitely want to try and do.
Well, yeah, and the important thing is that this new system makes that possible, whereas, you know, that kind of vehicular combat and/or, you know, going beyond that atmospheric flight in the current game is impossible. And so I think this new system is something that's going to let them, you know, use it as a foundation where they can actually, you know, try and play around with some of that stuff if they're not already, and looking towards, you know, things like vehicular combat. But no.
Yeah, it was my understanding that this new system provides them a better framework to add interesting new content, including things like vehicular combat or other things that we've always wanted, but they couldn't do before because of the mix and match nature of the previous game. I think we're going to see a lot of cool new stuff because they've got a much better environment to work in than they had before. A much more maintainable and developable environment, if I might coin a phrase.
Does anybody know if all characters will have the ability to self-heal? Kind of like we can now with skins. Okay.
Yeah, every character can use stim packs. My understanding is that the medic's the only combat character that can heal others. But I don't know if I actually saw that demonstrated to my satisfaction either.
That was part of the issue we were having. But as far as healing other players, but everyone will have the ability to heal themselves to some extent.
What about smugglers? Are they going to be able to slice weapons and armor?
Are they going to be able to smuggle?
Slicing is gone. The exact phrase I got from one of them was it was lame and boring, so they decided to remove it.
Oh, but we all love trying to get those smuggling loot drops.
Did you?
No,
you didn't sound like you did.
What, the 3 weeks I kept smuggler after they put that in? Did I even last 3 weeks?
You were. I hope so, because I bought you that freaking gun. And it was right after that you dropped it. That Master Smuggler pistol.
No, you only spent, what, $750K on it? I just had to delete it to get my $80K back.
That's fine.
What about group numbers? Are we still capped at 8 members per group?
That's my understanding.
That's what I was told.
Okay.
Oh, they'll all fit on the pre-order, Skiff.
Well, one of the things that was on the in-concept board from back, 2 months ago, last time they updated it, was something that's analogous to a raid party or a platoon kind of thing. So they're clearly thinking about the idea of hooking up multiple groups, but we didn't have any conversation on that topic in the context of what we saw this week in the new stuff.
That works out good at Molten Core.
Oh, if any of you guys have to go for any reason, just let me know. People are just still keep throwing questions out, so as long as you feel like sticking around, we'll keep going. But if you get tired, you have to be somewhere, just holler and we'll hang up on you.
I can go all night.
We didn't need to know that.
Have any of you been on the pre-order Skiff there, a passenger on that, and had that awkward leg animation where you're playing footsies with whoever is across from you?
That seems kind of weird.
Did they mention that maybe they're going to make you bend at the knees there and sit down normal, or is that just me making stuff up? Because that
I think that's you.
it just looks bizarre, and it bothers me, and I just had to say something. I haven't been as angry as I normally am, so I have to find something.
You should have taken a nap.
This is a really encouraging show. It's like one of those after-school specials about bulimia, but with a positive side.
Oh, man, that's the second show in a row where we've made an eating disorder joke.
Is it really?
I'll be right back. I have to go throw up.
Dual wielding, is it in? Anybody know?
I didn't see it.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean...
I'm just going through and hitting people's questions as we go through.
There were all kinds of new animations put in the game, so who knows?
Are there any new guns being added?
Probably.
What was that?
That's a good answer.
Any new guns? Are they adding any guns or armor?
Like I said, as far as armor goes, we didn't get a chance for that. I think they said something about some new weapons. I don't know if there were any new textures to go with them or not. They said, some of them said, they were playing around with stuff in the system that they didn't realize was there, and, things that they started making things with different blaster bolt colors and things like that. In the system they didn't have it in, and they're like, oh, it's there.
Okay.
What can we do with it?
Let's talk about the XP sharing. Did anybody get to try that in the group, and how did that work?
I didn't. No.
I didn't.
Like I said, at the low levels, the XP goes so fast that I didn't even notice the rate it was coming in at. So
okay, they didn't even bump you guys up just to try some higher end stuff.
Nah, they're showing us that.
We only had a few hours.
Okay.
And then you had to get your steak.
No, we had to go home.
Going through the Jedi Veteran rewards, are they going to be tradable?
No, I don't. I believe the answer was no.
Okay. Gyron, jump in at any time as I sift through.
No, I like listening to you type on your keyboard. And
I'm not even typing, I'm just
heavily.
clicking on the mouse right now. Am I breathing heavy? Do you like it?
Do I? So, I'm just in a good mood now. It's weird.
It's a first.
I know. This is the thing that's going to make or break the game, and from the people that have actually gotten to spend time with it, I've only heard positive stuff, and that makes me happy.
The first time you've said that on the show.
See? I'm like
we got to write this down. Hold on.
Okay. I think we're going to work on wrapping this up. So we'll start with Pyro. What's your current build in game? Like what's your mastery?
Almost every character I have is Master Doc, Master Pike.
Okay. So transferring to this new system, what are your thoughts?
Actually, for me myself, I imagine it's probably going to be pretty easy for myself. I'm probably going to take the medic with either Pike. I really enjoyed playing Commando though, as melee. That was really fun because it seemed like, you're gritty, in there in the mud grunt soldier. And, that's, as far as for the melee combat, that's what I really want to feel when I play the game, and it actually felt like that.
Any thoughts on what you'd like for them to change in the future?
As far as changing things for the future, I want to see I want to see a lot of the things that could be added in this system, like, vehicle-mounted weapons, fighting from vehicles, and, especially the biggest thing I'm looking forward to eventually is sprite collision for, characters, so that I'm not walking through everybody.
Okay, Guru, it's your turn. What's your current build in game?
I have two characters that I play regularly. One is a master artisan, weaponsmith, and merchant with a little bit of doc. I'll probably keep him a trader, although I haven't picked on a specialization yet for him. It's hard to say. I like all of them. For my other, he's a combat medic and pistolier. I probably will go medic with him, although I'm still debating it. What was the other questions?
I guess.
What would I like to see?
Yeah, what would you like to see in the future?
I'd like to see a serious crafting revamp.
You still think that's something that's needed?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if only just overhauling the vendor system. That in and of itself would be a huge change. But yeah, the crafting game, it's rich in detail, but it can be more fun. And I'd like to see them bring more fun into it.
Okay. And Darth, we kind of went over it with you a little bit with the squad leader, but any final thoughts on your part?
Well, yeah, regarding my current build, on my main, I'm a master rifleman and master squad leader, so I'm imagining I'm going to convert straight over to officer. But I've got a bounty hunter smuggler, too, that I'm pretty happy with, so I'm going to have to make a choice there. And I've also got a crafting alt that's a Taylor Armor Smith, and I can't be both of those anymore either, so I'll have to make a choice there. But as far as next steps, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do along the lines of vehicular combat, and most importantly, meaningful and engaging galactic civil war to play in.
Okay. Does everybody think we covered about everything we could tonight, given the situation?
Well, given what we know, yeah.
Okay, Gyron, you have any final thoughts?
None that I can think of.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's like 2 in the morning where I am.
No problem. It's almost that time for us, too. Gyron, what do you got to close us up with?
All I gotta say is don't start whining till you play it. 'Cause I'm not. And
that's a big thing.
I like to whine. I know. So, no, I'm really excited. I think it's going to make or break the game, and from what I hear, I think, yeah, good. I think good.
And I think my main thing is test it out, make sure that you communicate intelligently with the correspondents or the developers. If you put a bug in there, don't sit there and use 4-letter words every other word. And for the love of God, please do not spam in starports.
Oh my God, where's the frogs? There will be no frogs.
Yeah, because that's all you need. You are dueling frogs.
You are not getting the old system back. You're not getting the frogs. Just test the new system, play it for what it is, try to enjoy it. And I think that just about wraps it up for us tonight. I want to thank Darth Sushi, I want to thank Guru Weaver, and I want to thank psychopyro for joining us. It's been a pleasure, guys, and maybe once we get some actual insight where we've played the game a little bit, we can have you guys back on. We could probably do it a little bit smaller group. I think we kind of run over each other in the current format. But for everybody that's listening, you can check out our website at thegalaxyreport@yahoo.com. We have forums set up on there. We also have a bug wiki for anybody interested. It's a good place to post any bugs. We can probably set up something special for the new game enhancements. That way we can also keep track of what's bugged on Test Center, what makes it to live, and how long this stuff takes to get fixed. Again, it's not a way to thumb our nose at the developers. It's just a way for us as players to keep track. So I think that wraps it up for us. If you have any questions, you can email us at thegalaxyreport@yahoo.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you probably sometime again this weekend.